The ambush. The asteroid field surrounding the Arcturus system was quiet, too quiet. The massive rocks tumbled through the void, occasionally colliding with each other in silent explosions of dust and debris. Hidden among these celestial bodies, the ISS Vindicator waited, its sleek hull painted with a specialized coating that absorbed sensor scans like a sponge soaking up water. Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. At 42, she had spent more than half her life in space, serving Earth's United Defense Force. Her weathered face told the story of countless battles, each line a memory of friends lost and victories won. But this mission was different. This time, humanity's survival hung in the balance. "Status report," she said, her voice barely above a whisper despite the fact that no one could hear them through the vacuum of space. Lieutenant Commander Jackson, her tactical officer, looked up from his console. "All systems nominal, Captain. The quantum displacement system is charged and ready. Weapons are hot but dormant. We're completely invisible to conventional scans." Chen nodded, a tight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. The Vindicator might look like an outdated frigate on the outside, but beneath its scared exterior lay mankind's most advanced technology. They were betting everything on this ship and its revolutionary systems, systems that no one, not even the technologically superior Krell, had ever seen before. "And our friends?" she asked, referring to the 3 other UDF vessels hidden among the asteroids. "Maintaining position, Captain. The Defiant, Intrepid, and Relentless are all reporting green across the board." Chen reached up to touch the small pendant at her throat, a piece of the first human colony ship destroyed by the Krell 5 years ago. 70,000 civilians had died that day, the first casualties in a war humans had never wanted. Since then, 17 colonies had fallen, and Earth itself was now in the Krell's sights. Humanity had been pushed to the brink of extinction by an enemy that saw them as nothing more than vermin to be exterminated. Today, they would show the Krell that humans weren't so easily disposed of. "Contact." The sensor officer's voice cut through the tense silence. Multiple signatures entering the system. Energy profiles match Krell patterns. Chen straightened her uniform jacket. "Numbers. 38 ships, Captain. 1 dreadnought, 7 battlecruisers, and supporting vessels. Exactly as intelligence had predicted. The Krell were nothing if not predictable in their arrogance. They always returned to the scenes of their victories to document their destruction for their propaganda networks. Time to intercept. 17 minutes at their current velocity." Chen turned to face her crew. In the low blue light of battle stations, their faces were masks of determination. Every person on this ship was a volunteer, fully aware of the risks. They represented humanity's best. And perhaps last, hope. "Begin final systems check," she ordered. "I want everything tested one last time before they arrive." The bridge came alive with quiet activity as officers ran diagnostics and verified weapon systems. Deep within the ship, the ATTNA Combat AI performed its own checks, calculating countless possible scenarios per second. Chen walked to her command chair, but remained standing. She ran a hand over the worn leather armrest, thinking of all the captains who had commanded this vessel before its refit. None of them could have imagined what their old ship would become, or the mission it now undertook. "Krell fleet dropping out of FTL," Jackson reported. "They're moving into standard observation formation." Through the main viewport, Chen could see them now, the crystalline ships of the Krell Armada, their hulls reflecting starlight like polished jewels. Beautiful and deadly. Each vessel was an engineering marvel, constructed from materials that Earth scientists were only beginning to understand. Tactical analysis. Jackson's fingers flew across his console. The dreadnought is maintaining position at the rear. Battlecruisers are forming a defensive screen. Smaller vessels are deploying recording drones. He looked up. "They're not expecting a fight, Captain. Weapon systems are dormant." "That's their first mistake," Chen said quietly. She touched her communicator. "All ships, maintain position. Let them get comfortable. Minutes passed as the Krell fleet arranged itself amid the debris of the destroyed Arcturus outpost. Their drones fanned out, capturing footage of the destruction they had caused weeks earlier. Propaganda to show other species what happened when you resisted the Krell dominion. Chen watched the dreadnought, the massive vessel that served as the fleet's command center. It was easily 4 times the size of the Vindicator, bristling with weapons that could reduce a planet's surface to glass. That ship had personally overseen the destruction of 3 human colonies. "They're in position," Jackson said. "The fleet is fully deployed." Chen nodded. "Athena, calculate optimal firing solutions for quantum displacement." "Calculations complete," the AI responded, its calm female voice filling the bridge. "Primary targets identified. Success probability, 78.3%. Chen took a deep breath. This was it, the moment that would decide if humanity could stand up to the Krell or if Earth would soon join the list of conquered worlds. "All hands," she said, her voice carrying throughout the ship. "This is the captain. In a few moments, we're going to remind the Krell why they should never have underestimated humanity. Each of you volunteered knowing the risks. I want you to know that whatever happens next, history will remember your courage." She paused, looking around at her crew, the best of the best, each face set with determination. "Launch countermeasures," she ordered. Across the asteroid field, dozens of small devices activated, sending out electromagnetic pulses that mimic the energy signatures of UDF starships. The Krell sensors would detect what appeared to be a massive human fleet suddenly appearing. Confusion rippled through the Krell formation as their sensors registered the phantom fleet. Ships began to change position, moving to defensive stances. "They've taken the bait," Jackson reported. "Their communications just spiked. They're trying to coordinate a response." Chen nodded. "Signal the other ships. Execute Phase 1. From their hiding places, the 3 UDF vessels emerged, engines flaring as they launched conventional attacks against the outer edges of the Krell fleet. It was a suicide mission, and everyone knew it. But those ships were drawing attention away from the Vindicator, giving it the opening it needed. "Quantum displacement system at full charge," the engineering officer reported. Chen finally sat in her command chair, gripping the armrests tightly. "Execute Phase 2. Quantum displacement now." The Vindicator shuddered as the experimental system engaged. For a moment, reality itself seemed to bend around the ship, the stars stretching into lines of light. Then, in an instant that defied physics as most species understood it, the Vindicator disappeared from its hiding place and reappeared directly behind the Krell dreadnought. "We're in position," Jackson said, his voice tight with tension. "They haven't detected us yet." Chen didn't hesitate. "Fire phase disruptors. All batteries. Target their propulsion systems." The Vindicator's newly developed phase disruptors fired, sending beams of energy that could penetrate the Krell's crystalline hulls by shifting partially out of normal space. The massive dreadnought shuddered as the beams struck its engines, causing cascading failures throughout its systems. "Direct hits," Jackson reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. "Their main power grid is fluctuating. Shields are down." Chen leaned forward. "Deploy the NOVA bombs. Target their weapons arrays." 5 small devices launched from the Vindicator, attaching themselves to the dreadnought's hull. Each contained a microscopic artificial singularity, a weapon designed specifically to counter the Krell's crystalline technology. "NOVA bombs attached and armed," Jackson confirmed. "Detonation in 5 seconds." The bombs exploded, not with fire, but with gravitational forces that warped and shattered the dreadnought's crystal structure. Massive fissures appeared across its beautiful hull as sections began breaking apart. The Krell fleet finally realized what was happening. The battlecruisers turned, their weapons powering up as they locked onto the Vindicator. "Displacement system status," Chen demanded. 60 seconds to recharge," the engineer replied. "We can't jump again yet. Evasive maneuvers. All power to shields." The Vindicator twisted away as energy beams from 3 battlecruisers converged on its position. 2 missed, but the third struck the ship's port side, sending tremors throughout the hull. Direct hit. Sections 12 through 17 reporting damage. Displacement system cooling array is compromised. Chen gripped her chair as another impact rocked the ship. Athena calculated probable outcomes. Analysis indicates 42% chance of survival without immediate tactical adjustment. The AI responded coolly. Recommendations: deploy the prototype graviton inverter. It remains untested, but simulations suggest 87% effectiveness against crystalline structures. Chen exchanged glances with her weapons officer. The graviton inverter was experimental, even more so than the other systems. It had never been tested outside a laboratory. Do it, she ordered. Target the nearest battlecruiser. The weapons officer's hands moved across his console, activating a system that no human had ever used in actual combat. Graviton inverter charge. Targeting solution locked. Fire. A pulse of invisible energy erupted from the Vindicator, striking the nearest battlecruiser. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the laws of physics betrayed the Krell vessel. The gravitational forces holding its molecular structure together reversed, causing the entire ship to collapse inward upon itself in a spectacular implosion. The bridge crew stared in stunned silence. It worked, the weapons officer whispered. Chen didn't have time to celebrate. Target the next vessel. Prepare to fire again. Captain, graviton inverter requires 3 minutes to recharge. Another hit rocked the Vindicator, harder this time. Warning alarms blared across the bridge as systems failed. Multiple hull breaches. Engineering reports the quantum displacement system is critically damaged. Chen's mind raced through options. They couldn't run. They couldn't hide. The only choice was to fight, to make their last stand here, hoping their sacrifice would give Earth a fighting chance. Conventional weapons, she ordered. Target everything we've got at the closest battlecruiser. Signal the Intrepid and Relentless to converge on our position. The Defiant? Jackson asked quietly. Chen shook her head. The view screen showed the debris field where their sister ship had been. Another sacrifice in humanity's desperate struggle for survival. As the Vindicator turned to face its enemies, weapons blazing in defiance, Chen thought of Earth, blue and beautiful, home to billions who would never know how close extinction had come, or might still come. All hands, she said, her voice steady despite everything. Prepare for close-range engagement. We may fall the reckoning. The bridge of the ISS Vindicator was chaos. Smoke filled the air as electrical fires broke out across damaged consoles. Medical teams rushed to help injured crew members while damage control parties fought to seal hull breaches and stabilize failing systems. Captain Chen pressed a hand against the bleeding gash on her forehead, ignoring the pain as she studied the tactical display. 3 Krell battlecruisers had been destroyed, 1 from the graviton inverter, and 2 more from combined attacks by the Vindicator and the remaining UDF ships. But the cost had been severe. The Defiant was gone, and the Intrepid was little more than a drifting wreck. Status of the quantum displacement system, she demanded. Chief Engineer Maya Rodriguez's voice came through the comm, strained but determined. It's bad, Captain. Primary coils are fused, and the gravitational focus array is completely shattered. We can't jump. Chen's jaw tightened. Without the ability to quantum displace, they were trapped, sitting targets for the remaining Krell vessels. We've got more problems, Jackson reported, his face streaked with soot. Long-range sensors are detecting additional Krell signatures entering the system. Reinforcements. Chen closed her eyes briefly. They had known this was a possibility, but had hoped to be gone before more enemy ships arrived. Numbers? 12 vessels, including another dreadnought. Around her, the bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed this news. Even with the damage they had inflicted on the Krell fleet, these new arrivals made their situation hopeless. Time to intercept. 10 minutes, Captain. Chen nodded, her mind working rapidly. Athena, analyze all possible escape vectors using conventional drive systems. Analysis complete. The AI responded after a moment. All conventional escape routes are blocked by Krell vessels. Probability of successful evasion using standard propulsion, 3.7%. Chen turned to her communications officer. Status of our quantum communications array. Functional, Captain, but the Krell are jamming all standard frequencies. And the Lighthouse Protocol. The officer checked his console. The quantum entanglement channel is still operational. We can send one burst transmission that they can't block. Chen nodded. The Lighthouse Protocol was humanity's last resort, a way to send vital information back to Earth even if the ship was destroyed. Whatever happened here, Earth's defense forces would know what they faced. Prepare the data package. Include everything we've learned about their weapons, defenses, and the effectiveness of our new systems. Captain, Jackson interrupted, pointing to the main screen. They're hailing us. Chen raised an eyebrow. In 5 years of conflict, the Krell had never attempted communication with humans. They had simply attacked, treating humanity as vermin to be exterminated rather than a species worthy of conversation. On screen, she ordered. The view screen flickered, and for the first time, humans faced their enemy directly. The Krell commander was tall and insectoid, with a chitinous exoskeleton gleaming like polished obsidian. Multiple compound eyes reflected the light in fractured patterns, and mandibles clicked as it spoke, its words translated by the ship's computers. Human vessel, the Krell said, its synthetic voice oddly melodic. You have fought with unexpected effectiveness. Your technology has surprised us. Chen stood straighter, ignoring her injuries. We're full of surprises. The Krell's mandibles clicked rapidly, perhaps their version of laughter. Indeed, you have earned the right to know why you will be eliminated. Your species possesses something unique in our experience. Adaptability at an unprecedented rate. Left unchecked, humans would eventually threaten the established order of the galaxy. So this is preemptive genocide? Chen asked, disgust evident in her voice. It is preservation of stability, the Krell responded. Your ship's technology confirms our assessment. In mere decades, you have developed systems that other species required centuries to create. The quantum displacement device alone represents an evolutionary leap that cannot be permitted. Chen's eyes narrowed. We developed these technologies to survive your attacks. You created the very threat you feared. A fascinating paradox, the Krell admitted. Nevertheless, the assessment of the Dominion Council is unanimous. Humanity must be contained or eliminated. Surrender your vessel, and your crew will be studied rather than destroyed. Resistance will result in your obliteration. Chen cut the transmission with a gesture. Opinions? She asked, looking around at her senior officers. They're afraid of us, Jackson said, wonderment in his voice. All this time, we thought they saw us as insects, but they're actually terrified of what we might become. That doesn't help our current situation, Chen pointed out. We're still outnumbered and outgunned, with reinforcements closing in. Engineer Rodriguez's voice came through the comm again. Captain, I've been listening. I might have an idea, but it's crazy. Crazy is all we have left, Maya. What are you thinking? The quantum displacement system is damaged, but not completely destroyed. We can't use it to jump the ship, but we might be able to modify it to create a localized quantum field. Chen frowned. Meaning? Meaning we could theoretically displace a portion of space-time around us, create a bubble where the laws of physics temporarily operate differently. How does that help us? If we invert the gravitational constants within that bubble and extend it to encompass the Krell fleet, Maya let the implications hang in the air. Jackson's eyes widened. Every ship caught in the field would implode, just like what happened with the graviton inverter, but on a massive scale. Precisely, Maya confirmed. But there's a catch. The power requirements would completely drain our cores, including the emergency backups, And the quantum displacement system wasn't designed for this. The feedback would likely destroy the Vindicator as well. Chen understood immediately. It was a suicide play. Their only chance to take out the Krell fleet and prevent the reinforcements from returning to threaten Earth. How long to implement these modifications? 20 minutes under ideal conditions, Maya replied. But with our current damage and available personnel, maybe 15 if we push it. The Krell reinforcements will be here in 10, Jackson reminded them. Chen nodded grimly. Then we need to buy time. She turned to her tactical officer. Prepare all remaining conventional weapons. Target the lead Krell vessels. We need to slow their advance. She activated the ship-wide comm. All hands, this is the captain. In the next few minutes, we'll be engaging the enemy in a final stand. Engineering is working on a solution that could turn the tide, but we need to give them time. Every second we hold out brings us closer to victory, not just for us, but for Earth. She paused, knowing these might be her final orders to her crew. It has been my greatest honor to serve with each of you. Now let's show the Krell what humans are truly capable of. Battle stations. The remaining UDF vessel, the Relentless, moved to join the Vindicator, positioning itself to present a united front against the approaching Krell. They're targeting our remaining weapons arrays, Jackson reported as the enemy fleet advanced. They're trying to neutralize us without destroying us. The Krell commander wants us as specimens, Chen said grimly. Adjust shield harmonics constantly. Make them work for every inch. The Vindicator shuddered as energy beams struck its shields. The damaged ship returned fire, its conventional weapons seeming pitiful against the overwhelming force arrayed against it. In engineering, Maya Rodriguez worked feverishly with her team, rerouting systems and modifying the quantum displacement technology in ways it was never designed to function. Sweat poured down her face as she made calculations and adjustments, knowing the lives of everyone aboard, and potentially everyone on Earth, depended on her success. Shields down to 37%, Jackson reported as another barrage hit the Vindicator. We've lost ventral weapons arrays. Reroute emergency power to forward shields, Chen ordered. Status of the Krell reinforcements. 7 minutes out. Chen opened a channel to engineering. Maya, we're running out of time. Almost there, Captain, Maya replied, her voice strained. The modifications are complete, but I need to stabilize the quantum field, or it will collapse before reaching effective range. How much longer? 5 minutes, maybe 6. Chen exchanged glances with Jackson. They didn't have 5 minutes. Incoming. The tactical officer shouted as a massive energy beam from the Krell dreadnought struck the Vindicator directly. The ship lurched violently, throwing crew members to the deck as systems failed across the board. Direct hit. Shields are down. Multiple hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Chen pulled herself back to her feet. Seal off affected sections. Divert all remaining power from life support if necessary. Captain, the communications officer called out. The Relentless is hailing us. The face of Captain Sarah Mbeki appeared on screen, her ship clearly in as dire straits as the Vindicator. Ilara, she said, using Chen's first name, our sensors show multiple critical failures in your systems. How long until your engineer's plan is ready? 5 minutes, but the Krell reinforcements will be here before then. Mbeki nodded, a look of resolve crossing her features. Then we'll give you those 5 minutes. The Relentless will draw their fire. Sarah, no, that's suicide. This whole mission was suicide, Ilara, Mbeki replied with a sad smile. Make it count. The transmission cut off. On the view screen, they watched as the Relentless charged directly toward the Krell dreadnought, all weapons firing in a desperate attack run. They're diverting to intercept the Relentless, Jackson reported, his voice hollow as they watched their sister ship sacrifice itself. Chen swallowed hard. Maya, status. 3 more minutes, Captain. I need to stabilize the quantum field integrity. The Vindicator's damage sensors tracked the battle as the Relentless engaged the Krell at point-blank range. The smaller human vessel was no match for the dreadnought, but it fought with ferocious determination, drawing the attention of the entire Krell fleet. "The Krell reinforcements have entered the system," Jackson reported. 8 minutes to intercept. Chen nodded. Thanks to the Relentless, they might have just enough time. "The Relentless is gone," Jackson said quietly as the view screen showed the human ship breaking apart under concentrated fire. Chen closed her eyes briefly in silent acknowledgement of their sacrifice. "Maya." "Ready, Captain. The quantum field is stable, but we'll only get one shot at this. The system will burn out completely after activation." "Understood." Chen took a deep breath. "All hands, this is the captain. Brace for quantum field activation. It's been an honor." She turned to Jackson. "Send the lighthouse transmission. Make sure Earth knows what happened here, and what we discovered about why the Krell fear us." "Transmission sent," he confirmed moments later. "Maya, activate the quantum field." "Activating now," the engineer replied. Quantum field expanding. 100 meters, 500 meters, 1 kilometer. On the view screen, they could see a shimmering distortion spreading outward from the Vindicator, engulfing the nearby Krell vessels. As each ship was caught in the field, the laws of physics rewrote themselves. Gravitational forces inverted, causing the beautiful crystalline structures to collapse inward with devastating force. "It's working," Jackson exclaimed as one after another, the Krell ships imploded. The quantum field continued to expand, reaching out toward the approaching reinforcements. The massive Krell dreadnought was the last to be engulfed, its enormous hull crumpling like paper as the inverted gravitational forces crushed it from all directions. But the Vindicator was not immune to the effects. The ship groaned as structural integrity began to fail, the same forces that destroyed the Krell fleet now threatening to tear apart the human vessel. "Hull integrity failing," Jackson reported, his voice calm despite the chaos. "Structural collapse imminent." Chen nodded, accepting their fate. They had accomplished their mission. The Krell Armada was destroyed, and Earth would know what they faced, and more importantly, why they faced it. Humanity's adaptability, the very trait the Krell feared, would now be their greatest weapon in the war to come. As the bridge began to break apart around them, Chen looked at the stars one last time. In her mind, she could see Earth, blue and beautiful, now with a fighting chance. For Earth, she whispered as the quantum field reached critical mass. 3 months later, in the chambers of the Galactic Concord, representatives from 24 spacefaring civilizations gathered in emergency session. The Krell ambassador stood before them, mandibles clicking in agitation. "The human problem must be addressed collectively," it insisted. "Their technological advancement threatens the stability of the established order." From the shadows at the back of the chamber, a figure stepped forward. Admiral Helena Chen, sister of the late Captain Ilara Chen. "The only threat to stability," she said clearly, her voice carrying throughout the chamber, "was the Krell's unprovoked genocide against my species." She activated a holographic display, showing the final transmission from the Vindicator, the lighthouse data that had reached Earth moments before the ship's destruction. "My sister and her crew discovered why the Krell have been attempting to exterminate us," she continued. "They fear our potential, our adaptability. They fear what we might become." The chamber erupted in murmurs as the evidence played out before them. "Humanity does not seek war," Admiral Chen said when the recording ended. "But we will defend ourselves. The destruction of the Krell Armada at Arcturus proves we have the capability." She looked directly at the Krell ambassador. "The choice is yours. Continue this war of extinction against us, and we will continue to adapt, to develop, to overcome, just as you fear. Or accept us as equals, and discover what humanity can offer as allies rather than enemies." As she resumed her seat, whispers filled the chamber. The Krell ambassador stood frozen, its compound eyes reflecting the light in fractured patterns as it confronted the reality the humans had forced upon them. The choice between continued conflict with a species that grew stronger with each attack, or a peace that acknowledged a new power in the galaxy. In the void where the Arcturus outpost had once stood, a memorial now orbited, a small beacon transmitting a simple message to any ship that passed. Remember the Vindicator. Remember that humanity stands against extinction. Remember that sometimes one ship can change the course of history.